All right, guys, we actually had one more thing we wanted to add here at the end. This is actually something Isaiah just brought up as we were kind of talking after the video was over. And this is a question someone did ask on the Facebook post. And that is what our opinions are on the recent announced rule change over in Japan that coming with Sword and Shield base set, you will no longer be able to play a supporter on your first turn. So that's a huge change. I think the last time there was a major rule change like this was when Black and White base set came out, which would have been in 2011 or 2012. So it's been a long time since anything like this has been changed that much. I think Pram has played through the most Pokemon of anyone here and played through the most first turn rule variants. So I want to start things off with him. What are kind of your initial thoughts on no supporter on your first turn? I feel like that was the rule as well in like 2000 when Diamond and Pearl came out. I think that was the rule, but you could
Also attack.
attack. Yeah, so I think it's the
Yeah.
most similar to that era. I don't know, what are your thoughts initially?
The only thing I'm fine. I don't know if they're going to make any more turn one rules, but assuming this is it, like that's the only change they're making, I think
Yeah.
it's fine. There's almost no scenario where like I want to go second. Like it's super rare. Now it's like if I went first, well, at least I get to evolve first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or and get like turn one attach. If I went second,
But like if you're not playing supporter, like it's so hard to find your Pokemon and
yeah, but you have
stuff.
the Dene.
Yeah.
So
There's
like
search.
like
Yeah.
like assuming the card pool is like reasonable for going first. Like there's a like I also don't know what's in the set, right? So like there could
Right.
be a there could be a bunch of ball search where you can be like kind of set up your board easier with the like 13 cards you get off like the Dene and your opening hand. So it could still just be fine. It's really just card pool dependent. And otherwise it's just gonna shift it to going second is better, which it was in Diamond Pearl.
Okay. Yeah.
But if they
Um,
make things like call energy,
sure.
then that would balance out going first. Because if you had call energy in your deck and then, or if they made it to the word like maybe you could attack turn one but no damage, then that would bring in like the call for family Pokemon back into the game.
Yeah. Or like Dunsparce, which we have, which
Yeah,
usually have over.
Dunsparce
Yeah.
like strike and run would be super sick going first.
Or
Um,
like if they just
like
like you said, like start putting Call for Family on like other Pokemon that
yeah,
stage ones and
exactly.
twos.
Or even you can like clear vision turn one, like
Yeah,
the
for
thing
sure.
something they can do on turn one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Isaiah, I think you probably have played the least, and I don't think you've ever gone through a rules change, in your time playing competitively. So what are your like initial thoughts after seeing this announcement?
Um, Initially, like as you said, I haven't played a ton. It didn't seem like a great thing to me. Just because when I was thinking about it, the Welder decks already are kind of fine going second. Yeah, especially I was thinking of like Mewtwo. Mewtwo can go like Welder Turbo Strike. I
Yeah,
have 4 energy on the board, and then I'm sitting there, with my first attachment for turn. That which is obviously worse, but it's only kind of like that in my opinion right now because we don't have a ton of evolving stuff. If our stuff wanted to evolve more, then obviously that would be a completely different thing. You'd want to go first to at least get some stuff down, even if you couldn't set up as well, just having that advantage. So it probably won't be as bad as I'm just thinking flood the energy, go second, like with stuff like Volcanion. So it's probably not going to be that bad. At first, it doesn't seem amazing. Doesn't seem like it really fixes the Welder problem, if that was the problem they were going for. But
yeah,
as Fred said, we haven't seen the set. Don't really know if there are going to be other rule changes. That's important as well, obviously.
yeah, for sure. Peter, what do you think?
I was having this discussion with a few friends the other day, and like they combined it with also the reprint of Professor Juniper slash Sycamore, the discard draw 7,
Mm-hmm.
and it just comes down to like that card just being kind of degenerate. So if you like separate that card from the rule change, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like going first is just like undeniably better in every scenario. Like I can't even think of like a single deck in the format within like the last like X number of years that would want to go second ever. And I feel like the game needs that kind of balance. I'm not sure if it's going to achieve it because it's just like Pram said, based on the card pool. And like I literally brought up call energy to my friends. Like call energy would be really good if you're going first. Like I still think first would be better if you had call energy.
Yeah, for
It would
sure.
just be like slightly more balanced.
So, as of right now, obviously, like we said, we don't know if there's any other rule changes that come along with this. We don't know what cards they're printing around this. Things like Call Energy could theoretically come back, or even like Spirit Tomb or something like that. Hopefully not Spirit Tomb, but so just based around what we know right now, if we showed up to Atlantic City this weekend and they said, all right, the rule changes right now, you can't play a supporter on your first turn. Are you choosing to go first, or are you choosing to go second, or is it still dependent on the deck you're playing?
It's mostly probably dependent on the deck. If you're playing one of the welder decks, I think you're going second. If you're playing Peak Realm, I think you're probably going first still. You need that extra attachment. The deck doesn't have that much. Basically, I think it would probably come down to if you're Evolution / non-welder, you're going first. And if you're welder, you're going second.
Okay. Michael?
It depends. It depends on matchup. I think like if you're playing Ability Mirror, you go first, just because you want to get clicks down. But otherwise, you want to go second. Yeah, just because Welder is so powerful.
Yeah, Isaiah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that as they said, Ability Mirror, you want to get down the Vulpix first, people evolve first. Otherwise, the Welder decks want to go second. I can see a case from you two wanting to go first, just because that deck doesn't always try to, hyper turn 1, turn 2. The one attachment can actually matter sometimes. And then Pika obviously wants to go first. That's the big one. But other than those two decks, I don't think that. I think that I would go second playing a welder deck or in greens. Being able to greens turn 1 is so big. So either of those two decks, like the greens deck, even sometimes wanted to go second. Like Guardian could go second sometimes because the turn 1 attack that wasn't bad for it. Greens had the Volcanian option. It wasn't ideal, but those would definitely be going second.
So do you guys think there's any other rule change that needs to accompany no supporter? So like in the past, other restrictions for anyone who might not be as familiar with older formats or didn't play in the past, like other restrictions have been you don't draw a card, you start your hand with your 7 plus your base, or your 7 and your basic Pokemon, so then you only have 6 cards in your opening hand, no card drawn. Some other additions have been you could attack on your first turn. Others have been like you can't play, there's no trainers at all on your first turn. I think was in the Diamond and Pearl era, no TSS at all, Trainer Supporter Stadium. So what do you guys think that there's another change that needs to accompany this, or are you kind of okay with obviously with what we know right now, are you kind of okay with where the rule change is headed? Peter?
I'd probably want to see attacking on the first turn be a thing.
Okay.
Just without knowing anything else, because they just seem to be going into a tag team format. They've just been pushing tag teams down our throats for the last 2-3 sets, and it doesn't seem like evolutions are getting much support. So they need the most support, I think.
Sure. Isaiah, do you think there's any other changes that need to happen?
I honestly have no idea. I wouldn't be able to tell you if there's anything that needed to happen or make it more balanced. So,
Michael, what do you think?
It just depends on card pool, but the only thing I don't want to happen is losing on the first turn and going second.
Black and white and
yeah, that was literally the worst. If you lost before you draw a card, then you were like, why am I even playing this game? It just makes the player experience so terrible. Which is something they need to avoid pretty heavily. But we don't know all the information about it, so
of course, yeah.
It's hard to speculate too hard on it.
Right. So looking back at the history of the game, what in your years playing, Michael, what was your favorite first turn rule set from the past?
Probably the Diamond Pearl, no TSS, but it did have Call Energy, so
it really depends on the card pool for sure.
It does, yeah, it does depend on the card pool, but no TSS. You could attack. The attacks didn't really do a lot of damage like they do now for 1 energy. So the card pool just kind of really dictates how that experience is. Yeah. But that was my favorite, and my least favorite is Black White.
Yeah, for sure. Not being able to play the game like you said. I feel like attacking coming back would be really good, especially if they do start to print basics that have things like Call for Family, which they've done in the past. Like Eevee from Delta Species had Call for Family, and there were several good Evolutions decks throughout the years. Of course, Dunsparce was like a staple in 2004 and 2005, which is the same Dunsparce that we have today in Celestial Storm. So I feel like if attacking was brought back, we probably would see, like, do you guys feel like we would probably see Dunsparce in a lot of decks, or maybe not as needed right now with like the Dene and stuff? I don't know. What do you think?
You might like playing a Malamar right now if you could attack, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see it in Malamar. Because it's like 46% to start it if you run 4, just like naturally. So like half your games, if you get like, and that would be like a deck you would want to go first.
Sure.
Well, maybe not. Hard to say.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting too, because like as soon as Sword and Shield comes out, it feels like Lily's like just not a good supporter anymore, right?
Yeah. Maybe Malamar would be okay going first.
Because like Lily would only be really super good in 50% of your games, right?
I don't think Lily's good right now.
Okay.
I think the main thing about the decks when that rule change comes out is like you're gonna want to play a deck that's fine going first or second.
Yeah.
Like if you go first, you're like, that's fine, and if you go second, you're like, even better, I get to play my supporter. So I think that's like what's gonna shift the decks now, instead of like right now a lot of the matchups are like, I hope I go first.
Right. Also, in the past, another thing that they've done before is the winner of the coin flip had to go first. Whereas, like today, I think since Black and White came out, I think in Diamond and Pearl, the winner had to go first. I might be mistaken on that, but I know at least since Black and White, whenever you win the coin flip, you get to choose if you want to go first or second. Do you think like a mandatory having someone be forced to go first is good, or is it better to just give people that option? Because like I guess theoretically, like giving someone the option, I mean, if you make it a 50-50 if someone goes first or second, that almost seems more fair, right? Because it's 50-50 if you go first or second, whereas if you lose the flip, I guess it just makes you think.
I think,
like, I don't know.
I think it's just always 50-50, right? I don't see.
Yeah, like
well, because like your deck might want to go
better,
first, but your other
it might not necessarily be better to go second, depending on what deck or matchup, and that's why you want to give the player who wins the flip should just be rewarded for winning the flip, and so giving them the choice, and then like if the other player happens to get rewarded by that choice as well, then like it's kind of like everyone wins, like everyone is doing what they want to do, which is I think is fine. Basically, I'm just a fan of like player choice, making the game as like if the more choices players have, like the better the game feels.
Yeah. So obviously it's still really early on. We don't know what the card pool is going to look like. We really don't know. I think we know like 6 of the cards that are going to be in Sword and Shield base set. So it's really going to depend on what some of these other cards look like. So everything is definitely still very tentative. But just some first impressions after Isaiah asked this question while we were wrapping up. I definitely wanted to just get our thoughts out there, and this has actually been long enough. I think I'm just gonna make this its own video. So I appreciate you guys watching this. Definitely check out our meta discussion if you haven't, where we talked about Atlantic City. Did a Q&A for that. Any closing thoughts on first turn rule changes? I guess I'll just go around and ask, like, are you happy to see this rule change, or were you okay with the way the rules were? We'll just go around the circle. So Peter, start us off.
I was personally okay with them, but I mean, any change to like spice things up is like good in my book.
Sure. Michael?
Yeah, the change is fine. It really just comes down to what the card pool looks like. Yeah. But that's true for any rule set, right? Like the rule sets are generally pretty neutral. It just comes down to like what you can do with the cards available. Yeah. So just changing it, just shifting the preferred from going first to going second is.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, Isaiah.
Doesn't really matter to me. I didn't have an issue with them, as I said before, but it's gonna be, I guess, interesting to get to play with a different rule set for the first time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Not a huge amount of thoughts.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
No, I'm done. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I personally, like I'm kind of like with Peter. Like I'm fine anytime they change something. Like I've kind of always had that opinion. Like I'm gonna play the game regardless, right? So like I'm fine when they ban something from expanded. I'm fine if they unban something. I'm just like I'm gonna play the game regardless. I want them to mix it up here and there. So a rule change is cool by me. We'll see kind of how it goes. So
like you said, I think the most profound impact is going to be in expanded.
It'll be interesting.
I
wonder,
agree,
do you think we would ever have like a different rule set? Like this is obviously speculative.
I
but
don't,
do you
I
think
don't
we'd
know,
ever have
right?
a different rule set between the two formats?
I don't know. That seems like confusing for players, right?
Yeah.
And our supporters. Go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say I don't think rule sets should change between formats. If the rule set is problematic in a different format than
That's probably a bad
standard,
rule set.
it's because the format is bad.
Yeah.
So they need to like fix the format rather than fix.
Isaiah, were you gonna add something?
I was gonna say I don't know if playing supporters is that huge for some decks. Like Rayquaza just doesn't care. Like it's obviously good. They want a Sycamore, but they can kind of turbo through, get other stuff down. So I was just saying I don't. Some decks obviously need supporters to set up. Some want to go second for reasons, but I can still see all the turbo decks just going first. Kind of like how we talked about Pikarom and Standard. They still all want to go first because they just want to get the energy down. They don't need supporters and expanded as much with all the Shaman and Dedenne and stuff.
Yeah, I think we definitely. I think I would be fine personally. Like obviously, of course, depending on card pool. Once again, I would be fine personally if they made it that you could attack on turn one. Just based on what we have, as long as like the supporter. You can't play supporter turn one, but I think attacking on turn one and expanded would just instantly be a problem.
That would be wild,
I was
dude.
gonna say I don't think that's gonna work in expanded.
Instant like
set
I mean,
set up.
Yeah.
DD change. Night March.
Max Elixir, Max Elixir.
Yeah. So maybe that would be. I mean, because I feel like they definitely have to keep the rules the same between the two formats. If they were to ever make it that you could attack on turn one in both formats, I think we would have like a 20 to 30 card ban list probably in expanded, because there's just so many cards that like I mean even just going energy, Dimension Valley, Marshadow, then use Honchkrow GX's attack with Mewtwo and Mew tag team. Like
You would
I was
either
gonna
have to have
say-
like a. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say they'd probably have to block off GXs, maybe just for like no GX attacks on turn one, maybe just for expanded, just because of how powerful they are. But I mean,
Dude,
well,
Night March for 300.
Well, even if stuff like in standard, if you can attack on turn one and your opponent has one Pokemon, you can just go Horror House and then win the game next turn. So
oh yeah, gosh, that's so true.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I hope they don't make it. Thinking about it more, maybe
Yeah,
Maybe it's
fine,
better than
no
not
attack.
attack turn one.
I don't think we're attacking, dude.
Because you
It
can
does
even do
seem
that
like
now,
no
man.
way.
You can just in standard just be like turn one Horror House and just be like, all right.
yeah.
Their hand definitely has like 5 trainers.
Yeah, and you're like doing it with like a Mewtwo. You're like turn one Horror House, next turn
You did.
smack.
You can use any attack because then you get to Welder.
Yep.
So I guess another thing that we could, based on what we know moving forward as well, is that the first wave of Pokemon V have been announced and we have been revealed, and none of them have GX or Pokemon V attacks like what we have currently with Pokemon GX.
That's because you haven't seen the V Max, bro.
Yeah, the Dynamax thing.
You haven't seen the V Max.
Well, the trading card game hasn't always it's always like semi-mirrored the video game, but we haven't always had like the exact same mechanic.
Yeah, 100%. There's gonna be level V or what the fuck is they're gonna call it.
Those cards were kind of bad enough where like there's got to be, in my
So you
opinion,
think-
something else.
So you think we're gonna see Pokemon V level X or like Pokemon V Max, something like that?
Yeah, V Max probably.
Yeah. You know those box toppers that they sell, and like those boxes, like the special
The
boxes?
jumbos.
The jumbo cards.
It's
You
just
have
gonna
to,
be
like,
the jumbo card, right?
you have like a separate a separate
A sideboard.
sleeve, and you just bring it out, and you're like. It has like 500 HP for like one turn or something.
Oh,
Like one turn is just unkillable. You're just like, ugh. Good luck.
yeah, I guess that would be pretty interesting. Like, because like you said, like a lot of those cards they revealed were just kind of they were like meh. They weren't great. I think the Tapu
Yeah.
Koko is like pretty good, but other than
That's
that,
what I was gonna say.
none of them
Coco
were like
seemed
that great.
And it's because it has electro power.
Right, of course, yeah. Yeah, that Tapu Koko seems really good in Pikarom, but yeah, other than that, anything else you guys want to add about what we know about the Sword and Shield sets thus far? Or are we all good?
The only thing I want to add is that it seemed like GXs got axed way too fast, right?
Well,
Like,
I
they
mean,
just, like-
we had one generation of it. I don't know.
I feel like
I mean-
EXs lasted way more.
2 generations.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason they were called GXs is because they can do GX.
Yeah.
Like, functionally, they are EX.
Also, something that'll never make sense to me is why they weren't called Pokemon Z and given Z moves to mirror the video game. It makes no
Right?
sense.
Or ZX if you wanted the extra.
If you
like,
want the X in there, yeah. Or the thing that literally makes no sense is why Mega Evolutions have to use Spirit Links instead of Mega Stones. Why didn't they just make the cards Mega Stones, which is what they use in the video game?
You know what?
No
it
sense.
sounds like you need to learn how to speak Japanese and tell them. It's like,
Tell 'em how to
just be
design the
like,
game.
"What are you doing?" It's not like even a game design thing. It's not even a game design thing. It's like a lore thing. You're like, this doesn't match up. Everyone's gonna be like, why?
Chip, next month they're like, there have been official errata. Sceptile Spirit Link is now Sceptile
Mega
Mega
Stone,
Stone.
yeah.
Yeah.
Septilite, I think is what they were like called, stuff like that. All right, cool. Well, I think that will do it for this. Just giving you guys kind of a little preview of our, first thoughts of the Sword and Shield rule change coming. Obviously, like we said a few times, we don't know the card pool yet, so we'll have to see kind of what cards they print around it. But overall, I think we're all fine with it and excited to kind of see where the game goes from here. So these guys all did their social media plugs and stuff just a second ago in our other video, so I'll just leave a link to all of that down below. Definitely follow them on Twitter, check out their sponsors, all that stuff, and all those links are in the description. Be sure to leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to see more Pokemon TCG videos. Thanks for watching. We're going to get out of here. Until next time, take care.